Hello, I'm Anthony Treas from strongmencoaching.com. And, 2 years ago, I interviewed Wayne Levine, and it has been one of my most downloaded episodes on my podcast, Strong Men Podcast. It can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, and at my website at strongmenpodcast.com. And I'd like to go over some very important points on why this show is so popular among men. So let's get right to it. All right. So one of the reasons why I think this episode has been so popular among men is that, one, we're talking about, we're getting into subjects such as the Me Too movement. We talked about Me Too, and I think really what has been resonating with a lot of men is the fact that it's forcing us to rethink about who we feel about ourselves, how we feel about ourselves. And I think that's so important because I think one of the things that we have forgotten to do for such a long time is that men stopped taking care of themselves. Men stopped taking care of themselves. And what I mean by this is they were always thinking about, I shouldn't say always, but there's been like this idea that men have been the providers, right? Men were the providers. And so men had this idea of being a provider, and that's what it meant to be a man. However, in doing that, which there's nothing necessarily wrong in having that as one of the qualities of masculinity. If that's there, like I said, that can be debated too, but it's just something that, okay, not a big deal. But what's important is that, and as I think these issues that have been coming up, and Wayne covers this, is that it's basically beginning to force us to start looking at ourselves as men. And this is a good thing. It's not such a bad thing for us to stop and reflect about the fact that we haven't really been taking care of ourselves. So what are we seeing as a result of this? We're starting to see more what people have taken upon as calling mental health issues. And the truth is I honestly don't believe that there is this idea that more men are suffering from mental health issues. What I truly believe is that men are dealing with low self-esteem issues. So it's low self-esteem issues and not necessarily a mental health issue. The thing is that mental health has this stigma around it as though it's a bad thing. Because the truth is, in decades past, mental health, when people discussed mental health issues, it had to deal with like true mental health issues such as schizophrenia, bipolar. These are issues that are, at one point considered, and still are, mental health issues. But what I'm seeing in working with men is that it's more of a mental health issue. It's more of a low self-esteem issue. It's also a lack of confidence issue. It's a lack of mental, lack of control of thoughts, right? Where this can cause anxiety and depression because someone isn't taking control of their thoughts. They're letting their thoughts rule them. And, is that a mental health issue? As I said before, I think the things that we are honestly seeing today, I wouldn't call them mental health issues. I would call them low self-esteem. I would call them lack of confidence. And even more so, I actually would be saying that it's more of a lack of skills issue, right? It's a lack of skills. There are skills that are foundational that I believe every man should have, but are never given the chance to develop them, or they're never taught them or develop them. There are skills such as leadership skills. There are skills such as taking responsibility is a skill, and I could go into more about this, but it's not a negative thing. When you take responsibility, you take the power and ownership. Whenever we give the responsibility to somebody else, we're giving somebody the power and ownership over our lives. And I think this whole thing with Me Too is really helping us to, reflect on the things that we haven't been doing as men, such as we stopped taking care of ourselves physically, emotionally. And this is not to say that we need to start, I think it's kind of an interesting issue, the whole idea about expressing our emotions. Now, there's this idea that men need to start expressing their emotions. Now, the truth is that we do. We do need to start expressing our emotions more. However, there is a wrong way to do it and a right way to do it. And there's also, which is also important, the right time and place to do it, right? And also having someone to share those emotions with. And this is, a friend. This is somebody who you can express these emotions, because when you don't express these emotions, they will be expressed in the form of chronic diseases, right? They will develop, if they're not expressed, they will be expressed in the form of chronic diseases, because one, you're going back to the first thing I mentioned, you're not taking care of yourself. So really what's going on is that this opportunity we have as men to really start looking at ourselves individually, I think, to start taking care of ourselves. We need to start taking care of ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, if you will. I'm not speaking necessarily in a religious sense, but for some, that is what covers their religious or their spiritual needs. And once we realize, look, I'm going to take a piece out of the airline safety briefing, where you got to put the mask on yourself first, right? You have to put on your mask first. You have to put on your mask first in order for you to be the best man you want to be, the best husband you want to be, the best of whatever. You have to put the mask. You have to put on your mask first. You have to be selfish in a way, and I think this is what's being revealed, is you have to start putting yourself first in order for you to be a happy and fulfilled man. Because when you're not happy or fulfilled, you're not going to do those things that are healthy for you. You're not going to have great relationships with your loved ones or with friends. You're not going to have these things that are contributing to your life in a healthy and positive way. So we must start taking care of ourselves. We must start taking care of ourselves. And this is difficult because this can be difficult for a lot of men, because we're not used to hearing about the importance of taking care of ourselves. Women are more open to doing things of a lot more things of self-care. They're more willing to, spend some time by themselves. They're more willing to, to practice meditation, to practice yoga, to do these sorts of things that are beneficial for us. Oftentimes when we think of men's health, it's about, fitness. And unfortunately, that's just one aspect of what a man should be doing in order to take care of himself. And so oftentimes, everything gets neglected in their life. They're pursuing things that aren't really being fulfilled or fulfilling for them, but they are conducting themselves in things that aren't helping them in any way. So as I mentioned before, if emotions aren't being expressed, they're gonna be expressed in oftentimes in unhealthy ways. They're gonna be expressed through rage. I should put that through rage, in a sense. Some people are when not expressed, it tends to come out in unhealthy ways, right? Drinking, drugs, sexual addiction, pornography addiction, these sorts of things, when those things are not healthy for you, but we're attracted to them, and it gives us something. But at the end, it's going to lead to destruction of your body, of your brain, of your mind. And oftentimes what ends up happening is men put themselves in bad situations where they're in a relationship with a woman who they should not be in a relationship with, but for some reason that relationship is giving them this opportunity to express their emotions, whether they just want this drama in their life all the time. And oftentimes men will say, man, the drama is the last thing I want. However, they continue to go back to things that create drama in their life. So they're not taking care of themselves. And that's where low self-esteem comes in. Why do you want to be in a relationship that is not bringing good things in your life, that are not supporting you in a healthy way? That's an indication of low self-esteem when you put yourself or develop relationships with somebody that is not right for you. But there's just that because of your low self-esteem, you attract a certain person and you continue to see yourself in those same situations over and over again. And it doesn't have to do with any sort of mental health issue. It has to deal with your low self-esteem. And then in addition, when there's lack of confidence, right? Going back to the lack of confidence, you end up just going after relationships that are easy for you. They're not really difficult. You're going after your certain level, but that confidence is needed throughout our life. And that goes back to the lack of skills, right? There is and confidence is a skill, but it can be developed, and it needs to be developed. It needs to be developed in order for you to be healthy and happy in your life. Because when you have that confidence, you're able to go after what it is you want, and you want to go after things that are healthy for you, that are beneficial for you. Right? This is about putting the mask on yourself first, right? Then what ends up happening oftentimes is men begin to want to change their life, but it is often difficult because of the many pressures or influences, I should say, the influences that we are bombarded with every day, right? And when you don't have the capacity, or you do have, often people do have the capacity, they don't even realize that they can change their life. But it takes, if you have a behavior and a lifestyle that you want to change, and you've been living a certain way for so long, it's not going to be easy to change. You will have to have help. You will need help in order to make these changes last. And that's where I often come in as a coach, where I work with men who are tired of going through life. They have very low self-esteem. They don't feel confident. They're struggling with their thoughts. They don't feel like they're in life where they should be or where they want to be. They don't have the kind of relationships they want. They're struggling in their health. And these are things that where if no matter what situation you're in, whether you're a husband, a father, a business owner, you've got to take care of yourself. But this change that is required takes time, and it takes effort, and it takes the realization that you can't do it on your own. You can't do it on your own. Some people, make these small changes over time, and you can, and that could take years. That could take a while. But truth is, if you really want to have help, you're going to need somebody to help you. And so I want to encourage you. So I want to express, my hand, to you, and to help you get to where you want to be. Because that's the most important, is that it's about you, and it's about putting you first for once. It's about putting your needs first. And it's not, if you're in a family situation, it's not necessarily, this selfishness that is negative. It's a selfishness that is positive, that you're making sure that you are capable of doing what you feel are your responsibilities, whether that's to provide for your family, whether it's to protect your family, whether that's to set a good example for your children, or, just that you feel good about yourself. Because when you are feeling good about yourself, you're going to make those decisions that are going to help you, where you're going to feel fulfilled, where you're going to feel happy. So I would like to extend my services out to you, and to offer, for you to contact me, and let's talk about your situation. So I'm going to encourage you to go to my website at strongmencoaching.com and reach out to me, schedule a time for us to talk, and for us to get into your situation and discuss and create a plan to where you are, to where you want to go. So if that's you, I want to encourage you to visit my website, strongmencoaching.com. I hope that this has been a help for you. I encourage you to go and listen to this episode with Wayne Levine. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I'm Anthony Treyas from strongmencoaching.com. And until next time, stay strong.